Hello people, in this video I want to talk a little about the theory of our origin as a human race according to the Inca Indians in the Peruvian Andes mountains. Well, this group of Indians, they are very ancient and they are full of knowledge, wisdom, and this is what we adopt in our school of alien meditation. So I would like just to share a little what is their theory about us, and to see that it has much in common with the nowadays theories that we find there, with the conspiracy, the reptilians, and all these new subjects that are appearing nowadays, and they knew it already many centuries ago. So what happens is that according to them, there are many kind of races around the universe. So it's what we can call as alien races. There are different kind of races with different configurations of DNA, with different kind of perceptions and physically and everything. They're different one to other. And what they said is that in the beginning of the world there was a kind of human race. It wasn't actually totally human because this race was androgen. Androgen means in a body there is the nature of the woman and the man. So it's both in one body, the female and the masculine. So this was an androgen being that was of the frequency of the elementals, but it was getting more autonomy in the planet. So they were actually the native race of the world. When they mentioned that there was a time that appears another race from the outside, and this race probable from Orion or another star that was in conflict, and many of them were trying to survive by discovering other places in the universe. This race is called Viracocha, and they mention they are like the sons of the sun, because they appear very gold, their face, their skin, their clothes were as gold. So they mention they are the sons of the sun. These race viracochas, had high technology and they knew how to manipulate the DNA. So what they mention is that they offer to the chulpas the division between the genders, so they can either choose if they want to be man or woman. And the chulpas were full of curiosity, so they accepted this deal in exchange of exploration of some minerals in the planet. The Viracochas needed to explore some minerals in the planet to restore the atmosphere of their own planet and to their benefit. So they both got to this business, and they were okay living in a peace. Meanwhile, but in the planet there was another time that appeared a third race that is called the Sahras. This third race was described as a face of reptile, so it's what we can know nowadays as reptilians. This third race, according to the Indian Incas, the Queros specifically, they this race wanted also to make exploration of minerals as the Viracocha, but they were a little more harsh, with a little more. They didn't have this feeling of friendship with the chulpas, so they end up with a world war. So in this moment, the Sahras, they were scientists also. They knew very well how to manipulate the DNA as well. So what they did is they had a bank of DNAs, and what they did was a mix of DNAs to create the different experiments until they found a couple of races that they can use as their slaves. So, such as the greens, the small ones, and these kind of aliens. But finally, they could also find out the way to obtain the human DNA that is as a mix of many kind of alien races. So they find how to get this codification of human race to start creating humans. So the Sahras did this experiment, the Sahras, better known as reptilians. So since the Sahras were in a fight with the Chulpas, they started using guns and all this kind of technology to destroy each other. So what they find out, the Sahras find out, is that the Chulpas, they don't have tolerance to the sun rays. Their skin doesn't have tolerance to the rays of the sun. So what the Sahras did was to destroy the hydrosphere that was in the planet. It was the planet, and it was a layer of clouds. So these clouds containing water, and it was what filtered to the sun rays. So what they did is to destroy this layer, so all the contained water that was in the atmosphere was falling to the earth. So it was the time better known in the Bible as the universal flood. That was the time where God wanted to destroy the humanity and all living beings by throwing water through the earth. So it has a relation with the story of the Incas, Queros Indians. So in the end, the Chulpas needed to hide to the under earth, to the under cities in the earth, to to try to keep their race alive. So they needed to hide since this moment. And what happens after is that all the fellowship of the races in the planet, they made a kind of reunion or meeting where they needed to find out what they will do with all these problems, and what will it happen to them, to the earth after all this. So what they did is they made prisoners the Sahras, the reptilians, but many of those aliens, the reptilians, what happens is that they lose their power of being condensed as material beings. So what they do now is operate through mental frequencies, through mental dimensions instead of material dimensions. So this is how some of them still working on the earth, but through this mental frequency. So this is how they get feed through the negative feelings of us, and the mental negativity. So about the part of the humans, what they did is, since we are a mixture of many alien races, what happens is that they they activate most of our DNA strands, so we kind of forget our origin and our superpower, so we don't use it for the bad, because many humans were actually starting using this for the bad. But at this moment, the human race is still neutral. More, some of them were negative, some of them were positive. So that alien fellowship, in that moment, they didn't know what to do with humans, because some of them showed to be nice, some of them showed to be bad. So this is what they realized to do with us, to deactivate our most of our DNA strands until we get to a moment that by ourselves, by our consciousness, we get to reactivate these DNA strands to recover our powers, to recover our memory, and to finally decide by our consciousness if we actually want to be in this part or in the other part. So this is basically the history of the origin of the human race according to the Quero Inca Indians that lives in the Peruvian mountains. So thank you very much for your attention, and I see you in the next video.